Making content based on new research is something I've recently found to be incredibly enjoyable. Being able to study and impart all this sophisticated new knowledge to you people is incredibly great. Maybe I can turn it into a series called New Studies That Can Help With Your Gains, but disclaimer, it's only one study, so take it with a grain of salt Sundays, or something along those lines. Really sounds good when spoken. Anyway, time for more research. And if you're one of those overachievers who like doing cardio, sometimes known as aerobic exercise, in addition to your resistance training, this one appears enjoyable and might be useful to you. Now, I mean, if shaking my protein bottle aggressively for around 40 seconds counts, then sure, that does involve me too. However, the stories that you've heard about how weight training and cardio don't mix well in terms of your gains may have you wondering if you should. There may be some truth to these tales, according to a recent systematic review that offers a few hints of the future. Furthermore, with a little bit more subtlety to consider, it might ease your concerns. Or it might not. Disclaimer, as with any new research, it's important to remember that this is only one study, and it shouldn't be used as the only basis for your future decisions. It's just another piece of the puzzle for fitness that you can experiment with to see whether or not it works for you. However, feel free to return to this video and give me full credit if it does improve your gains by 9,000%. So, here's the data. In order to reach a more reliable result, this research first does a systematic review and meta-analysis, a form of study that examines the data from several prior studies. More specifically, 43 pieces of research totaling 1,090 participants from a variety of ages and training levels were all considered in this analysis. The final objective of this research was to evaluate the premise that mixing cardio and strength training may suppress or interfere with strength development. Will concurrent training, often known as strength and aerobic training, produce different results than strength training alone? Additionally, many time options were taken into account, including whether aerobic and strength training should be done on consecutive days, during separate sessions on the same day, or during the same session. A little more insight, the data examined 3 key outcomes that could be tested, including maximal strength, which was determined using exercises like 1-rep max squats and leg presses, explosive strength, as determined by factors such as jump height and squat jump power, and by measuring the size differential in the quad muscles. The final results for 2 of the assessed outcomes may not come as much of a surprise, but the third one offers a marginally intriguing twist. When all the data is taken into account, maximal strength, as displayed in this nice forest plot of the relevant research, doesn't seem to differ in outcome between concurrent training and strength training alone. Fortunately, muscle growth also appears to be quite consistent, whether you choose to solely do strength training or combine it with cardio. But explosive power stirs things up just a little. In this instance, the addition of aerobic training does appear to have some form of interfering effect. The slight wrinkle in this, though, is that not all forms of concurrent training apply to it. Instead, we only notice a significant influence of concurrent training on explosive strength when the aerobic activity was cycling rather than running, and only when it was done during the same session as the strength training. In this instance, the interval between the strength and aerobic activities was shorter than 20 minutes. However, there is something very significant to note. With regard to the forest plot, there is one study from 2021 by Mikola et al. That stands out more than the others. This suggests that the Mikola study's outcomes were considerably different from the others, making it a potential outlier that could have a significant impact on the final findings. Knowing this, the researchers decided to exclude this particular study from their analysis, which significantly reduced the strength of the overall disparities in the results. The only thing that partly stuck out at this point was that same-session concurrent training still resulted in a worse adaptation to explosive strength, though not as badly as before. Therefore, in brief, performing aerobic activity and muscle increases from strength training appear to be unaffected by one another. However, it might have a small effect on gains that happen quickly. This review does have one very obvious drawback, though. Unfortunately, the researchers of the review were unable to reach the majority of the 43 studies' own researchers for clarification. Therefore, they chose to exclude discussing the intensity of the aerobic exercise for the investigations. Since there is a significant difference between activities like steady-state cardio and high-intensity interval training, intensity can, of course, significantly alter the outcome. This serves to emphasize once more that this is only one review, and that its conclusions, while solid, are not yet obvious. So what does all of this new information signify in the end? Does this imply that we ought to combine cardio with strength training, or not? It basically means that combining aerobic and weight training isn't all that harmful. You should be fine, unless your sport necessitates a fair level of explosiveness. And even if you are, scheduling them on various days should help tidy up the situation. The benefits of improved VO2 max, a measurement of one's overall endurance fitness, which 99.9% of gym bros can most definitely work on, and improved cardiovascular health are super duper cool in my book. So we also need to look beyond just strength adaptations. I apologize to those of you who dislike cardio, but now you have one less reason not to exercise. There is a limit to how long you can shake your protein bottle. Do whatever you can to raise your heart rate, such as getting on the treadmill or a bike or playing an hour of Dark Souls. Gains will be fine for you. Anyway, please give this video an explosive thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure to share it with your cardio-loving pals. If not, simply becoming a subscriber and seeing more of my films would be very much appreciated. Last but not least, remember to get your protein, as usual.